I'm back. I am back. I am back. Ooh wee, I'm back, I'm back. He done got busted that quick. He done got busted that quick. I told y'all that man was lying. I told you the booty buster was lying, didn't I tell you? The booty buster. A booty buster lying. The booty buster. The booty buster lying. He got busted lying that quick, y'all. Excuse me. He got lying. I told y'all something wasn't right with him. He got busted. And when I say he been all over the place, he been all over the place. What did I just dropped something. He been all over the place. Lying. What they say, lying and crying. Lying and crying. No, that's not it. I'm trying to get to it, y'all. I mean, this Buster been lying, and I think his stories kind of changed a little bit. I don't know why he didn't know that AunTeaFee listens with her good ear. And I do mean good ear, not ear. Ear. Hold on. Come on in, y'all. Hitting the like button. Come on. He all over the place, but he done got busted. And baby, he sure made it seem like he ain't had no issues with Puff, didn't he? Y'all come on in.
Internet shouldn't be confusing.
Come on in. He's a liar. Y'all know I don't do well with liars.
I think he's bisexual. I do.
Oh, now you think he bisexual.
I think he's bisexual. I do. We had one encounter where he did something that was somewhat questionable. He did directly ask me if I was gay, which I cursed him out over, like, are you crazy?
Y'all come on in.
After that whole exchange where I cursed him out when he asked me if he was gay, he paid me off to shut up, which I did. You know, he gave me a couple grand.
So who paying you off now?
But then he did directly do something very homophobic after it. That
come on in, y'all.
Could have been as he was trying to, I want to say, manipulate
hit the like button.
Believing his anus might be the same as a vagina. So that to me was kind of a gay situation. He had me stand in front of him while he was giving Cassandra, I'm going to keep my language professional, cunningless, oral. But what he did was he kept positioning his anus right in my line of sight while he had me standing in front of her. So, you know, I keep trying
come in, hitting the like button.
Yourself in my line of sight. And it kind of dawned on me eventually, not at the time, that that's what he was trying to do.
He was trying to pimp you out. He was trying to make you hit that ass. So was he backing that ass up?
Some very strange things are going on with Diddy's case. Let me explain to you why. Think about what happened with Ghislaine Maxwell. Who was the lead prosecutor? The same person that when Epstein was being held accountable was the same lead prosecutor that is now with Diddy. This person has been the lead prosecutor for all three of them.
Y'all hear that?
Some very strange things are going on with Diddy's case. Let me explain to you why. Think about what happened with Ghislaine Maxwell. Who was the lead prosecutor? The same person that when Epstein was being held accountable was the same lead prosecutor that is now with Diddy. This person's been the lead prosecutor for all three of them. What do you think is going to happen with Diddy? Is Diddy going to be O.J. Simpson 2.0? You know, he's going to go free and nothing's going to happen to him? Slap on it. How well, we couldn't find anything so far when we're looking at the case with Cassie Ventura. What do we know? We know the fact that he hit her. We've seen the videos. We know the fact that the freak-offs were taking place, that he was hiring people from Craigslist, that he was paying them $1,500 to $6,000, depending on how well of a job they were doing performing. With her, she would have to do some really nasty things, drink, urine, all these weird things that they have in the documentation. He would put a mask on, so when the Craigslist person would show up, they didn't know who he was. She would put a wig on. His nickname was Frank Black, and her nickname was Jackie Star. All this stuff we know already. But then you see text messages. I can't wait for the next freak off. I can't wait to have your child. I can't live my life without you. Is this leading to this guy being innocent?
Well, yeah, but they forgot that they be role playing and shit too. You don't even know if that was an act.
He had this incredible protection from the top from some very, very powerful people that maybe he offended. Who knows? All of a sudden, like this happens. We're going to talk about that today.
Y'all come in, hit the like button so I can get to
subscribe to the channel if you want all these notes. Subscribe to Lyin, and I'm going to show you how to get them. All right, so let's get right into it. Check this out. This guy Diddy. When you look at his net worth, 2022, he's a billionaire. Oh, we hear it, we see it all over the place. Today, net worth roughly $300 million, $400 million. His net worth, if you look at it, was a lot of spirits. 70% was spirits, $700 million. $50 million was private investments. Then you see $75 million cash. $100 million real estate and collectibles, $75 million catalog and intellectual property. Go to it right now. Only $150 million is spirits. He lost $550 million there. Cash is lower, and a bunch of other things are lower there. So what happened during that time when you think about his net worth? By the way, when you compare him to some other people net worth-wise, with Jay-Z, Dre, Diddy, and Kanye, this is what it looks like. Blue is Dre, orange is Jay-Z, green is Diddy, and purple is Kanye. Look what happened here. Kanye. So Jay-Z keeps climbing. In 2011, he was roughly $450. Today, he's $2.5 billion. Dre goes from where he was at $150 million at the time. He's worth roughly $980 million today. Diddy goes from $450, same place, get the $2 billion down to $300 million. And then Kanye goes from wherever he was. You look at the report today, you'll either see $300 million or $2.77 billion, depending on who's doing the audits. Forbes says $300 million. Okay, so let's go look at the Ciroc deal, what happened. So Diddy in 2007 does the Ciroc deal, which is a partnership with Diageo to revive Ciroc vodka, taking a 50-50 profit-sharing role rather than the standard endorsement. As brand manager and CMO, he elevated the brand from 40,000 to over 2 million cases a year, making it a premium product. Now, keep in mind, if you don't know who Diageo is, Diageo owns everybody. Johnny Walker, Crown Royal, Smirnoff, Kettle One, Don Julio, Casamigos, Captain Morgan, Bailey Irish Cream, Guinness. They own all these companies. So Ciroc, hey, this is big. We're bringing Diddy in. He's going to take it from 40,000 to 2 million. Profitable. This is great.
Yeah, get the lights up so we can get to the lies.
The Lyin Tequila co-ownership. Diddy and Diageo jointly acquired the Lyin Tequila, making it a deeper investment relationship. May of 2023, Diddy sues Diageo. Diddy filed a lawsuit accusing Diageo of neglecting the De Leon brand, racial discrimination, claiming they marketed it as an urban product and failed to treat him as a true business partner. Then in January 2024, they settled out of court. Diageo and Diego settled the dispute out of court. While details still remain sealed, the settlement marked the end of their business relationship. So this is from 2007 till 2024. 17 years. Could they have protected him? I don't know. Their CEO currently today is Deborah Ann Crew. She was a former intelligence officer in the military. Once intelligence officer, forever you're an intelligence officer. Who knows what happened? We don't know the relationship. We're not going to make any accusations. All we know is, could this have been a protection where they were at the parties and they knew things that were taking place and are like, wait, what do you want to do to us? No problem. Boom, drop the bomb. I don't know. All I'm saying is the timing is kind of strange. Maybe even they wanted to kind of be like, look, we know what's about to be dropped on this guy. We want to have nothing to do with you. We're out. Here's some money. You stay quiet. We'll pay you, but we want to get out of here. The only thing at the time is kind of crazy is January 2024, they settle. 2 months later, remember what we're sitting there doing and minding our own business? And you hear, March of 2024, the feds are raiding Diddy's Miami home and his LA home. For what? What are they trying to get? And you saw them pulling out all these boxes. What's going on over here? Federal agents raided his Miami and LA home, seizing 90 terabytes of digital data. What are you taking? Bunch of letters he wrote? What do you think they're getting there, right? Multiple unregistered firearms, over 1,000 bottles of lubricant, allegedly linked to coerced sex events. His associate, Brandon Paul, was arrested at a Miami airport, and Diddy's jet was tracked to Antigua, though he remained in the U.S. We all remember this. This is nothing new. May of 2024, guess what footage is released? Cassie Ventura's footage. How long have you been having it, CNN? Since 2016. You haven't released it till now? No. Who made the phone call to say release it now? Who? Who was kind of like, we're done with this guy. You're not back. You're threatening to say this. Release the footage, right? So they released the footage. He comes out, issues an apology, while his lawyers accuse the government of leaking the tape. It was later admitted as evidence in his trial. Again, January deal, March is raiding his house, Miami and LA. May, here's a video being dropped from CNN, even though they've been sitting on it for 8 years. September 2024, book is released, Kim's Lost Words, which, by the way, there's a lot of speculation with this thing here, so whatever I'm reading is not necessarily 100%. It is there, it is not there. The alias they use on who wrote the book is Shanti Millwood, which is an alias for Tupac, which is kind of weird. Why would you use that? This book appeared on Amazon, allegedly written by Kim Porter, accused Diddy of abuse, misconduct with minors. Porter's children denounced it as fake. Investigators revealed the real author.
Oh, it was in her book. It was in Kim Porter's book that he played with minors.
Shanti Millwood, which is an alias for Tupac, which is kind of weird. Why would you use that? This book appeared on Amazon, allegedly written by Kim Porter, accused Diddy of abuse, misconduct with minors. Porter's children denounced it as fake. Investigators revealed the real author was Chris Todd, who claimed he compiled the book from a mysterious flash drive. Amazon removed the book a month later in October. So September last year was a rough year for him because that's when the lawsuit comes out and he's arrested and indicted on federal charges, racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, and transportation for prostitution. The indictment claimed he ran a criminal enterprise from 2008 to 2024. He pleaded not guilty and remained jailed at MDC Brooklyn, where his bail offers was up to $50 million, was rejected. Then all of a sudden, October, wave of lawsuits come out, okay? Attorney Tony Busby filed numerous lawsuits against Diddy with over 120 cases. Planned allegations span sexual abuse, drugging, coercion, often tied to industry events. Some suits implicate third parties, including Marriott International, for allegedly enabling the abuse. Like you
Diddy
allowed
got another
for this to
indictment
happen,
coming.
and you knew it was taking place. Then it comes to today.
More than one.
May of 2025, the trial begins. Okay, so what is he being prosecuted for? You got charges for racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, and transportation for prostitution. That's what's taking place right now. What is he not being prosecuted for that he's been allegedly accused of doing over the years? For example, sexual abuse of minors ages 9 to 17 in the 90s, 2000 civil suits. You know what happened? Likely barred by statute of limitations or lacked sufficient criminal evidence. Gone. Murder, blackmail, and surveillance claims, Kim Porter, drive leagues, highly speculative with no verified forensics or corroborating evidence. Gone. Arson, alleged car bombing of Kid Cudi's vehicles, alleged by Cassie but not supported by public documentation or prosecutable evidence. Gone. Civil allegations from 120 accusers, many told unverified and not investigated fully. Some may still be under review, but right now we only know about 4. So this is the one part that we got to be thinking about, because a lead prosecutor can determine whether your crime is going to be bigger or less, more scrutinized, and people are going to be looking at everything, or less. I mean, if you think about President Trump, right, in New York, you have the case that came out with Stormy Daniels, hush money, that could have been civil. Whatever the number was, $125,000, didn't need to be criminal. He's a convicted felon, but the guy that was a lead prosecutor was a guy named Matthew Colangelo, and guess who's the one that appointed him? DA Alvin Bragg. And who is Alvin Bragg? Do you think Alvin Bragg loves Trump? No, they wanted to make him a convicted felon to just kind of destroy him. In this case, is the complete opposite. Who the lead prosecutor is for Diddy. It used to be Damian Williams, who was the lead prosecutor until he resigned in December of 2024. Damian Williams is a pretty connected guy. He's been a lead prosecutor on a lot of different things. You ready? Epstein, you got Diddy, you got Ghislaine Maxwell, and many others. He was appointed by President Biden. He used to work, had a relations with the Soros family. So he steps away in December of 2024 for Diddy. Why would he step away? And you know who replaces him as a lead prosecutor? Maureen Comey. You know who Maureen Comey is? She is James Comey, the former director of FBI that put the 8647 on his Instagram. She is his daughter. That is now the lead prosecutor going against Diddy. Do you think Diddy's going to end up being guilty? Who knows? We'll find out if she's going to go after him hard or not. Now, to be fair, Damian Williams and Maureen Comey both were the prosecutors, going against Sam Bankman-Fried, and decided to kind of not look at the donations that he made. I think it was the second biggest for Democrats, and he gave a bunch of Republicans as well. He was trying to buy everybody out during that time. And this comes down to one other thing with Maureen Comey, to just kind of give her a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. She was a lead prosecutor going against Robert Hayden. Robert Hayden was a gynecologist who was accused of, taking advantage of clients that were coming in. And one of them was Andrew Yang's wife, if I'm not mistaken. He was doing a lot of weird things. He went away 20 years in jail. So I don't want to put it in here and say Maureen Comey's not going to go after certain people. She has. But in this case, Ghislaine, Epstein, Diddy, kind of weird. They're kind of weird. Bribery, reputation of what they did. Little weird that the same person is a lead prosecutor on those three different people. So this was kind of weird with Diddy, with certain patterns on certain people in his life. I had Suge Knight on. But around the same time while this is going on, 6, 7, 8 months ago, and he says, look, no man wakes up one day and learns how to do this kind of stuff. What do you mean no man wakes up one day? Somebody had to teach you on how to bribe and do this and hold people hostage and da-da-da-da-da. Kind of weird. And then Clive Davis's name comes up. And in Clive Davis, apparently, when you look at this in the early 70s, federal authorities started investigating whether major records, including Columbia Records, division of CBS, were directly or indirectly involved in a drug-fueled payola scheme. These were illegal arrangements where drugs or money were allegedly used to bribe radio DJs and stations to give preferential airplay to certain artists. You know who was the leading guy for Columbia at the time? A guy named Clive Davis in 1973, a rising executive and then president of Columbia Records, fired by CBS in 1973. The official reason cited the misuse of company funds. He was accused of charging personal expense, including lavish bar mitzvah costs for his son, to the company. I mean, obviously that's not good, but if you look at the charts, you hear them using heroin and other drugs to bribe DJs. Even his former EA testified and gave statements that Clive Davis authorized payola practices, further damaging his reputation. So what does Clive Davis do? Starts his own company called Arista Records in 1974. Now, while he's going through, the CBS sues him to recover some of the funds. Davis was not indicted or charged with any crime, including the broader allegations on payola or drug-related misconduct. So the relationship between Clive Davis and Diddy is interesting, because when Diddy's 23 years old, he's making a name for himself. Clive gave him $15 million to start Bad Boy Records. And then later on, they did even a bigger deal where Clive gave him $50 million advance on future earnings. This is 5 years later in 1998. $6 million upfront payment, $700,000 annual salary, and a state-of-the-art recording studio. We're talking about $2 million recording studio. This is when he went after Faith Evans. He got Biggie in the early 90s. This is when it started. But there's a relationship with Clive, and it's interesting because Clive later on, they say something may have happened here, because Shook said Clive taught him the bad habits. And later on, Clive comes out and says the following. Yes, record mogul Clive Davis has identified as being bisexual. He publicly revealed in his memoir, this is not allegedly, he said it, the soundtrack of my life. At the age of 80, he also discussed in an interview with Katie Couric, expressing the hope that his coming out would contribute to greater understanding of bisexuality. It's Clive Davis. And on top of that, very weird, the principal of the high school that Diddy went to school to. This is like completely crazy. In 1987, Reverend Bernard Lynch and brother Timothy Brady were accused of sexually abusing students at Mount St. Michael Academy in Bronx, New York. While this was happening, the allegations involved the molestation of 3 boys. While the timing overlaps Diddy enrollment at school, there is no public record or indication that he was among the victims, and no one knows the 3 boys' names. So Timothy Brady goes and gets convicted, goes to jail. He's in prison. But when he comes out, he goes back and is reassigned by Marist Brothers to a Catholic high school in Chicago, where he worked from 1993 to 2005, 12 more years after you know what he's doing to boys. This makes a lot of sense, right? And then Reverend Bernard Lynch was indicted in 98, stood trial in 89 on the abuse of former student. He was acquitted of all charges. Lynch has maintained that his prosecution was a result of a witch hunt due to his AIDS ministry and advocacy for LGBTQ rights. In 2019, Lynch faced a new civil lawsuit allegedly sexual abuse of a 16-year-old student at Mount St. Michael Academy during 1978 and 79. The lawsuit was dropped in 2021. So who knows? Some are saying maybe one of those three boys could have been Diddy, and maybe he picked up some of those habits there. Chances of that, less than 5%. But these are all very weird things that are kind of coming together. This next one here, don't let your kids listen to this next part. I mean, at this point, if you let your kids listen to the whole thing, you shouldn't have done it in the first place. But this next part, maybe you say earmuffs or pause, stop the video, step away, put the, So this guy goes to Macy's one day, Diddy, with his crew. While he's at Macy's,
Hey, Tracy.
the plaintiff claims that Diddy, accompanied by 3 armed bodyguards, enters the stockroom. This is 08. This isn't too long ago. This is 17 years ago. He was 38 years old at the time. Goes in the stockroom, and the plaintiff alleges that he was struck, possible pistol whipped, and threatened with death by the bodyguards. Combs then allegedly forced him to perform oral on him. Coming together. This next one here, don't let your kids listen.
Don't
to
let your kids
I mean,
listen
at this
to
point,
this.
If you let your kids listen to the whole thing, you shouldn't have done it.
Hit the like button, double tap the screen.
Pause, stop the video, step away, put the, So this guy goes to Macy's one day, Diddy, with his crew. While he's at Macy's, the plaintiff claims that Diddy, accompanied by 3 armed bodyguards, enters the stockroom. This is 08. This isn't too long ago. This is 17 years ago. He was 38 years old at the time. Goes in the stockroom, and the plaintiff alleges that he was struck, possible pistol whipped, and threatened with death by the bodyguards. Combs then allegedly forced him to perform oral on him, referring to as echo, and making derogatory comments during the assault. Do you know what ends up happening afterwards? You may never go to Macy's ever again, okay? You ready? Aftermath, Macy's response. Following the incidents, Combs purportedly took Sean John merchandise from the stockroom and distributed it to shoppers on the sales floor. The plaintiff reported assault to Macy's security, but asserts that no action was taken. He further alleges that approximately 3 weeks later, Macy's CEO Terry Lundgren pressured Echo executive to terminate his employment to safeguard a multi-million-dollar deal Macy's had with Sean John. Subsequently, he was fired and lost his company-provided housing. Like, I don't know if this is a true story or not, but it's written about all over the place. You're not going to have a hard time finding this. If a person comes out and says, this person did this to me, one person comes out, they're getting after somebody. 2, 3, all of these stories in different, this person's got issues in his heart. And I'm talking about Diddy. The guy's got problems. I mean, this doesn't happen accidentally. And Diddy's father was tied to the mob back $1 million deal Macy's had with Sean John. Subsequently, he was fired and lost his company-provided housing. Like, I don't know if this is a true story or not, but it's written about all over the place. You're not going to have a hard time finding this. If a person comes out and says, this person did this to me, one person comes out, they're getting after somebody. 2, 3, all of these stories in different, this person's got issues in his heart. And I'm talking about Diddy. The guy's got problems. I mean, this doesn't happen accidentally. And Diddy's father was tied to the mob back in the days, working with Frank Lucas. You ever seen the movie American Gangster? Frank Lucas, the one that was selling the Blue Magic, I think what it was called. And they claimed that he was an FBI informant, that he was leaking information. And who knows what the hell was going on. But that's the lineage. So I don't know what's going to happen. Here's what I could tell you. If it goes with the pattern that we've seen, with Ghislaine, with Epstein, with Diddy, either Diddy's going to commit suicide, either he's going to be hiding somewhere that we won't hear about for many, many years, or he's going to be O.J. Simpson, and he'll be released and said, I told you I was this innocent. I told you nothing happened. I told you I was this. Or he's going to go to jail and spend the rest of his life in jail. Not likely, because he has access to a lot of information on a lot of people that make a lot of money for people in Hollywood. Do they want those people to be gone? I don't know. With one of those guys that makes a lot of money for a lot of people is Justin Bieber, to the point that their lawyer has to respond to it and say, hey, although Justin is not among Sean Combs' victims, because
that was his daddy.
There's been some very strange videos.
Oh yeah, that's his daddy.
These are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him. Shifting focus away from the reality detracts from the justice these victims rightfully deserve. While this is taking place, it's pretty wild. Bieber, 15 years old, you spent a couple days with him.
Frank Lucas confirmed that was his daddy. But he also confirmed that there was more to the story, that Diddy never asked him about his daddy. And he said if he would have asked him, he would have told him the truth.
I think what it was called, and they claimed that he was an FBI informant, that he was leaking information, and who knows what the hell was going on. But that's the lineage. So I don't know what's going to happen. Here's what I could tell you. If it goes with the pattern that we've seen with Ghislaine, with Epstein, with Diddy, either Diddy's going to commit suicide, either he's going to be hiding somewhere that we won't hear about for many, many years, or he's going to be O.J. Simpson, and he'll be released and said, I told you I was as innocent. I told you nothing happened. I told you I was this. Or he's going to go to jail and spend the rest of his life in jail. Not likely, because he has access to a lot of information on a lot of people that make a lot of money for people in Hollywood. Do they want those people to be gone? I don't know. With one of those guys that makes a lot of money for a lot of people is Justin Bieber, to the point that their lawyer has to respond to it and say, hey, although Justin is not amongst Sean Combs' victims, because it's always been said, there's been some very strange videos that we've seen, these are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him, shifting focus away from the reality, detracts from the justice these victims rightfully deserve. While this is taking place, it's pretty wild. Bieber, 15 years old, you spent a couple days with him? It's kind of weird. Looks at the Lambo. What do you think about the Lambo? Hey, we do some things that nobody needs to know about. It's a lot of weird things. So, I don't know. I ran into him, Diddy, after I made a few videos, and we looked at each other like this for a couple minutes at a Miami Heat game. He was there with a girl, and it was an interesting exchange. Made a lot of accusations, not accusations. I've had, Greg Kading, a lot of people I've had on, because I'm convinced, that's my opinion. I believe he's tied to Tupac and a lot of other people. Hopefully there will be justice, okay? Hopefully there will be justice. Whatever that is, there will be justice, because a lot of people were hurt by this guy here. If you want the research, here all.
Hold on. Yeah, my likes ain't nowhere where they need to be. With the amount of people that's up in here, don't come in here and get in the bushes and not tap your screen and hit the like button, because I will stall. You better ask the people who are regulars. I will stall. Double tap your screen. And it's too late for me to do a whole bunch of stalling. I'm going to tell you that now. I will just back up out of here. I don't know if you know that. Peach. Hold on. I just had it. Hold on. Yeah, that's his daddy. Even, what's the designer name? Dapper Dan. No, Dapper Dan says that, Diddy picked up these habits from his parents. Come on, y'all. Hit the like button for AunTeaFee. Hit the like button for AunTeaFee.
Black TV.
Let me see.
I'm Ray Lucas. I'm Ray Lucas. This is my dad, Frank Lucas. And shout out to Black TV. Thanks for setting up this interview.
Me and Melvin Corner were good friends. We were good friends. We did a lot of business together. Of course, it was not a legal business, but we did a lot of business
sweet
together.
babe.
And I was sorry to see what happened to him. That shocked me. Me and Melvin Corner were good friends. We were good friends. We did a lot of business together. Of course, it was not a legal business, but we did a lot of business together. And I was sorry to see what happened to him. That shocked the hell out of me. And the guy who did it, I'm glad he got what he got. Okay, so.
And I know Melvin used to come to your club, the turntable, a lot.
Yes, he did. He come there all the time. Melvin was like a lady man. Yeah, he come there all the time. He come to my club all the time. Yes, he did.
Can you say the name of your club?
The Lord Price Turntable, 52nd and Broadway. I met Sean Combs. I met him when he was a little boy. He used to come over to my house. His daddy used to bring him over my house. He used to come see me on various business, and he used to bring him over my house from time to time. But I met Sean about a year ago. It's been a little better than a year ago. He heard I know the father. He wanted me to tell him about the father, so I come over there and I told him something about the father, but I didn't give him the whole story because he didn't press me. He just asked me casual, and I told him casual, but if he pressed me, I would have told him.
Oh, because he didn't press him.
He heard I know the father. He wanted me to tell him about the father, so I come over there and I told him something about the father, but I didn't give him the whole story because he didn't press me. He just asked me casual, and I told him casual.
No one had no idea what you mean. Don Shell. What do you mean? No one had no idea about what? Peaches, you still here? Peach, you still here?
By the father, so I come over there and I told him something about the father, but I didn't give him the whole story because he didn't press me. The Lord Price Turntable, 52nd and Broadway. I met Sean Combs. I met him when he was a little boy. He used to come over to my house. His daddy used to bring him over my house. He used to come see me on various business, and he used to bring him over my house from time to time. But I met Sean about a year ago. It's been a little better than a year ago. He heard I know the father. He wanted me to tell him about the father, so I come over there and I told him something about the father, but I didn't give him the whole story because he didn't press me. He just asked me casual, and I told him casual, but if he pressed me, I would have told him the whole story.
About his dad?
Yeah, well, all I know, but I didn't do that because he didn't press it. If he act like he really wanted to know, he act like it was just another thing, so I had to go.
Right, and you knew him as Sean Combs, not as Puffy or P. Diddy, right?
No, I know Melvin's son. I didn't know his name. I know Melvin's son. I didn't know his name.
There we go. So, yeah, that's his daddy. Yes, he used to work for Frank Lucas. It's more to the story. He said Puffy, Sean or Melvin's son didn't press him. So he did not tell him everything. But there was more to be told than... But you know what? It's like he trying to emulate his dad. His dad was... They say he was a snitch. He a snitch. He had a lot of women. Puffy wanted a lot of women. His mama, they said, oh boy. Dapper Dad said she was, she played with them hookers and disguised it as this, that, the other. So that set up, of how he getting people to do what he wanted to do. That may have came from his mama.
And I know Melvin used to come to your club, the turntable, a lot.
Yes, he did. He come there all the time. Melvin was like a lady man. Yeah, he come there all the time. He come to my club all the time. Yes, he did.
Can you say the name of your club?
The Lord Price Turntable, 52nd and Broadway. I met Sean Combs. I met him when he was a little boy. He used to come over to my house. His daddy used to bring him over my house. He used to come see me on various business, and he used to bring him over my house from time to time. But I met Sean about a year ago. It's been a little better than a year ago. He heard I know the father. He wanted me to tell him about the father, so I come over there and I told him something about the father, but I didn't give him the whole story because he didn't press me. He just asked me casual, and I told him casual, but if he pressed me, I would have told him the whole story.
About his dad?
Yeah, well, all I know, but I didn't do that because he didn't press it. If he act like he really wanted to know, he act like it was just another thing, so I had to go.
Right, and you knew him as Sean Combs, not as Puffy or P. Diddy, right?
No, I know Melvin's son. I didn't know his name. I know Melvin's son. I didn't know his name.
Okay, y'all, let's get to the lies. That old ugly sex worker lies. Y'all get the likes up, please. I gotta get ready to go to sleep. Oh, my goodness. Excuse me. Now I question. It's catching up. Okay. Okay, y'all ain't gonna. Okay, I'm gonna show. If it just go dead and it starts spinning, it's because y'all insisted on not hitting the like button or double tapping on your screen. So if I cut it short, you will know why. Okay, it's too late, and I'm not gonna play. I'm gonna tell you that now. I'm telling you that now.
I am currently on.
So it looked like, oh boy, done got busted line. I knew he was a liar.
Hey, that's doing what you want them to do.
Now he talking
Think
about.
about that. Don't nobody want to answer that. In this interview, he's done for real. So they did not include for July. So forth, how all the operations went. He gave all that information.
Shout out to
the federal
Ticket.
government. Now, fast forward to today. Now it is a whole different situation because now a person who was credible, very credible in this case, who told us that the first indictment was coming. Diddy former bodyguard Gene Deal. If you guys don't remember,
Yep, Gene was live saying it's coming
Deal. Go
again.
subscribe to his YouTube channel, The Gene Deal Show. Big Gene came out before all of this and told everybody that the feds were working on charges for Diddy. This is before the first indictment, and people didn't listen to Gene, and Gene was right. Then Gene also said something on the Art of Dialogue before the verdict came. Big Gene said if the jury got the verdict before the 4th of July, he said if they did it after the 4th of July, they were going to find Diddy guilty on the big charges. He said if not, they weren't. Big Gene was right about that. That was the second thing I noticed that he was right about. And now Big Gene has revealed today
It came out
that
today.
the feds are currently drawing up a new indictment with new charges for Diddy. I guess charges that they did not include in the first indictment. Now, before we get to what happened, the reason why this will be admissible is because it wouldn't be the same charges. It wouldn't be
I told y'all that the other day.
And I think that the feds, seeing that they had already got 2 felony convictions on Diddy.
I told y'all that the other day. It will not be double jeopardy because it would not be for Jane or Cassie. New indictment.
Because it wouldn't be the same charges. It wouldn't be double jeopardy. And I think that the feds, seeing that they had already got 2 felony convictions on Diddy, they know if they can get anything else on Diddy as far as a felony, he's done for real.
Oh yeah, because now he's a convicted felon.
You've already seen how the feds got down with R. Kelly. They hit him with multiple indictments, and they hit him in different states with multiple indictments.
Yeah.
They did the same thing with Harvey Weinstein. They hit Harvey Weinstein in New York and in California with federal indictments. And now that's how they got both of those guys, R. Kelly and Harvey Weinstein. And now it seems as if we saw it happen as well with John Gotti. You know, John Gotti beat the first case. The feds came back again, beat the second case. The feds came back again, beat the third case. The feds came back again and gave him life in prison. So the feds went after John Gotti until they got him for life. Now, there's a situation where a lot of people have been celebrating, a lot of people have been taking a victory lap, when I don't think they remember how the feds operate. The feds don't lose if they don't want to lose. They will keep coming at you until they bury you if that's what they want you. You know what I'm saying? If they want to drain all your assets doing it, they'll make you drain all your financial assets and legal fees and all other kind of stuff, trying to fight these different charges and cases because the feds have unlimited resources. Now, Big Gene did a video today. Go subscribe to his channel. Shout out to Big Gene, the Gene Deal Show. He revealed today that he has information that the feds are currently writing up another indictment for Sean Combs, and that will go right alongside to what Lil Rod Jones said the other day in this interview with DJ Academics. So Big Gene, he did the interview, or he didn't even do an interview. he went on his channel today. Now, apparently, some people were trying to get at Gene and disrespect him or something like that, and call Gene a snitch and all this other stuff. I don't know how Gene can be a snitch. He's a civilian. He's not he's not a gangster. You understand what I'm saying? He's a security guard. He's been a probation officer, I believe, and so he's been in a certain part of law enforcement. So there's no way he can be a rat if he is not, a gangster. You understand what I'm saying? But let's get to what Big Gene said, because Big Gene basically was cooking because dudes was, I guess, trying to violate him and stuff like that. When he said that he knows stuff these cats don't even know. They just talking. Let's go.
Was charged with 2 crimes or whatever like that, but he beat the RICO and everything. He beat that. Let me just tell y'all something. You understand? And I'm gonna let you know, I save a lot of information. Payday. I save a lot of information for payday. When people want to bring me on their platforms and ask me questions, I save a lot of information for payday in case they want to ask me certain things. Now, let me say this to y'all. If you think that the Southern District of New York is going to be embarrassed by Sean Combs, aka Brother Love, this, that, and the third, son them out there dancing in the streets and all that shit like that, people doing the shit that they were doing, y'all out of y'all rabbit effing mind. When this boy gets hit with this new indictment, because he gonna get hit with a new indictment, he might not never get out of jail. They writing it up as we speak.
Did y'all hear what he just said? Once again, this is via the Gene Deal Show. Shouts out to Big Gene. And he let it ride today. He said that normally he wouldn't have just gave up his information like this. You know what I'm saying? But he's saying right now, and that goes right alongside, you understand what I'm saying? What Lil Rodney Jones said. Rodney Jones said the Feds had already was working on more charges to bring against Diddy. So it seems like the Feds were nowhere near done with Diddy. They was going to come back with, and now it makes sense, like, why they didn't sequester the jury, why they didn't do all these things. I believe in another trial, they're going to sequester the jury, all kind of stuff, bro. That's what I believe is going to happen. I believe they tried to do it one way the first time, and I believe, man, they got their eyes on this dude, bro. Because why go through all this for that? Because they left a lot of stuff out, and the judge even said it in the bail. He was like, "Yo, you was in the and we ain't that I didn't even allow that to be put into the case." So, he said he was in a batter's program and stuff like that. He said there's a lot of information, and I saw the information because it was in the paperwork. They excluded a lot of information from this case. A lot of witnesses were not in this case. A lot of victims were not in this case. These people were either scared to come, taken out, or the judge didn't allow it in the case. But this is via the Gene Deal Show. Y'all go subscribe to his YouTube channel. This is what he had to say.
If you think that the Southern District of New York is going to be embarrassed by Sean Combs, aka Brother Love, this, that, and the third, son them out there dancing in the streets and all that shit like that, people doing the shit that they were doing, y'all out of y'all rabbit effing mind. When this boy gets hit with this new indictment, because he gonna get hit with a new indictment, he might not never get out of jail. They writing it up as we speak. Because that's why they didn't charge him with certain things that they didn't charge him with.
Now, let me speak on what he just said right there as far as they didn't charge him with certain things. And I'm going to tell y'all the reason why I don't think they did. I don't think they did because if the Feds would have put everything in one case and got this result, it would have been hard for them to come back after Diddy. The fact that the feds left a lot of stuff out of this case means that they can bring it up in different charges and it won't be double jeopardy. So I believe that the feds outsmarted Diddy. I believe that what the feds did was they held back stuff in this case. This is what I personally believe happened. You can call me a hater, say whatever you think you want to say. I believe that this is what happened. I believe that the feds purposely held things back in this case.
Come back.
The jury was asked to question things like Florida. That. So the feds may have had questions. So they held some stuff back that they could have hit him with, in my opinion, because I believe the feds knew. Think about this, y'all. If the feds would have hit Diddy with everything in this case, everything they had, and the jury would have found him not guilty, then they couldn't have came back with double jeopardy.
Yeah, they had to see how the defense was gonna come. I told y'all that, Tisa.
That they didn't bring in this case in a different indictment. Now that's not double jeopardy. It's only double jeopardy if they use the same witnesses, or the same victims, and testimony that they did from the first case, right? So if the feds come, they have to come on a different case with different evidence. You understand what I'm saying? So if they withheld evidence on the first case, which is what a lot of people think that they did, that means they can come back on the other case.
All right, if y'all don't get my lights up in the next 10 minutes, I'm going down.
That they ran back. You see what I'm saying? To the person who asked me, am I happy about this? Sir, I want to see anybody who treats people like shit, beats up women. Do you? Let me ask you. I ain't ask you nothing else, dog. Do you think beating around the bush, you did it? Why? What did Diddy's lawyers say in court, y'all? FYF, they're not doctoring us. But let me say this to y'all, right? And I'm going to tell y'all this. Sex trafficking is done by force, fraud, or coercion. These dudes run around YouTube and they'll say, hey, man, Diddy didn't force Cassie to do nothing. She was a hoe. What you mean? The only thing Diddy was guilty of is domestic violence. Okay, cool. If Diddy was guilty of domestic violence, let me ask you a question. What does domestic violence stem from? See, you niggas gonna get eaten effing around with me. I'm gonna eat every last one of you niggas. See, here's the thing. Domestic violence stems from a desire to gain and maintain power and control. Once again, power and control. Lamont, you don't know what they working on, sir.
So force and coercion.
There's a lot of stuff you don't know about, sir. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. A lot of stuff you don't know about. A lot of stuff you don't know about. Once again, domestic violence stems from a desire to gain and maintain power and control over an intimate partner. Abusive people believe they have the right to control and restrict their partner's lives. Control.
Force.
What is sex trafficking? Sex trafficking is done by force, fraud, or coercion. Coercion could be giving drugs. Force could be by beatings. So when somebody doesn't do what you want to do, you just beat the hell out of them, make them do what you want them to do. Think about this. So when Diddy's lawyer said it in court, the government made a huge mistake. They should have jumped all over that. They should have said, oh, this is domestic violence? But if Cassie loved Diddy and did everything Diddy wanted, why would he need to domestically beat her ass? Because Roger Bonds have testified many times that Diddy beat Cassie for damn near over a couple years before Cassie even had enough heart to hit the nigga back. He said he was so happy when Cassie decided to fight Diddy back. Because Diddy had stomped her head in and beat the girl so many times. Make it make sense.
Oh, no, I thought he was saying that about Kim Porter.
Y'all don't attack that type of behavior, which calls you guys character into suspect. When you use an excuse, she's a hoe.
Kim Porter tried to cut his wrist off.
What does that matter?
Ask that bad baby off.
It's a lot of girls that you may call hoes that's just walking around here that don't deserve.
Give me that hand.
These are all facts.
Where's the paper?
These are all facts I'm kicking to the people today. All facts. Right?
I'm finna get ready to go.
Just because you think a girl is a hoe, I'll repeat myself again. He said that Diddy had a gun. He need to beat up Cassie during the freak-offs. Why would he need to punch If your parents gave you a spanking, why they give you a spanking? To get your ass back in line.
Okay, let
Answer
me
the
get
question.
to this cat. Let's go.
Yeah, I would have told the defense ass to shreds if they would have copped the domestic violence. Because all they had to, this is where the prosecution dropped the ball. As soon as Diddy copped the domestic violence, they should have said, well, if Cassie is complicit and she was happy like y'all said she was, why did he need to beat her ass? Why? What, was he just beating her ass for fun? Just come home, start whooping on her ass every day? So he did that for fun, or did he do that to control her and maintain power over her?
Because that's what our boy said. That she
that's
was.
What domestic violence stems from.
That she wasn't coerced.
Let me tell y'all something.
She was
when you got in trouble
on
as a
it.
kid, and your parents gave
why
you a
he
spanking,
beat her
why
ass?
did you a spanking? To get your ass back in line. To put you back in a place to where you needed to be.
She was complacent.
Think about what I just said. That's on a different scale, but I'm giving you an example. Right? Think about what I'm saying to y'all. If Cassie was complicit with all the shit Diddy wanted, why did Diddy need to beat her? And then, guess what, y'all? The sex worker that everybody's running around here quoting now, Clayton Howard, is saying he went after Cassie. Guess what he said? He said that he not only saw Diddy beating up Cassie during the freak-off. Why would Diddy need to beat up Cassie during the freak-off? Why would he need to punch Cassie and beat her up during freak-offs if she was doing all this stuff on her own?
I told y'all he got busted in line again.
Then, he also stated that Diddy had a gun and threatened to pistol whip him for non-compliance at a freak-off.
What?
He said that. It's right here in his lawsuit. But these guys cherry-pick. They don't want to read that. Read that paragraph right there from his lawsuit. This is his lawsuit right here.
His lawsuit, y'all. He got busted.
Clayton Howard right there. Yeah, that guy. The guy everybody trying to dog on the internet. And this is the reason why neither side called him up. Because he had smoke for both sides. Right? Everybody said, oh, he sued Cassie. No, nigga, he sued Diddy and Cassie. And he said that Diddy had a gun. He said Diddy had a gun. I'll repeat myself again. He said that Diddy had a gun in the freak-off.
Say what?
He said that. Diddy's lawyers could have subpoenaed him.
He didn't say that on that interview.
You know why they didn't? Because they knew if he would have said that in open court, they done. He had a gun in the freak-off? Oh, yeah. And threatened to pistol whip him to assert his control. Look at what he said in his lawsuit.
He sure didn't say that, y'all.
Look at what he said. Look at what he said. Right? Right there. Threats of violence were implied when defendant
But he gets on that interview and said total opposite.
Violence if people was doing what they wanted to do. Make it make sense. If we're all in here doing the freak off and doing whatever the hell we want to do, why would Diddy need a gun?
And then why are you suing him for force? But now he's suing Diddy for force.
And need to threaten to pistol whip somebody. Make it make sense. They're not telling y'all he put that in his lawsuit. He did. Read it right there. He said threats of violence were implied when defendant Combs wished to assert control, and during at least one encounter, he threatened to pistol whip the plaintiff, directing defendant Ventura to the master suite to retrieve his firearm.
So he just lied.
There you have it right there. He also stated in an interview with Tasha K as well that Diddy beat Cassie on more than 5 occasions that they had freak-offs. And he said he beat the shit out of her. Hit her with a 2-piece and everything. He said he hit her with a 2-piece so hard it knocked her across the room. Why did he need to do that if Cassie was compliant? Don't nobody want to say that. They just want to say domestic violence, but they don't tell y'all where domestic violence stems from. These dudes cower and hide and make other lame excuses. That's what they do.
Now, ain't that total different than what we heard earlier?
Violence, man, I'll chop their ass up in that courtroom. Oh, y'all admitting to domestic violence? Oh, for real? Well, look at the balls of these guys. They're admitting to domestic violence. Now, they want y'all to think in this courtroom. There you have it right there. He did. Read it right there. He said threats of violence were implied when defendant Combs wished to assert control, and during at least one encounter, he threatened to pistol whip the plaintiff, directing defendant Ventura to the master suite to retrieve his firearm.
But he said that he never saw it. She was always complacent. She was always a willing participant. You know, this, that, and the other. And you lied.
They're not telling y'all he put that in his lawsuit. He did. Read it right there. He said threats of violence were implied when defendant...
He got the word in the lawsuit. He got the word pistol whip plaintiff. Asserted control. Deliberately intimidating. Firearm. Didn't I tell y'all he lied? He was busted for lying. He's a liar. But he slipped and told the truth when he said it was obvious that Diddy committed sex trafficking. Yeah. But but Cassie wasn't innocent. But his lawsuit saying something different. She was not always willing.
Look at what he said. Look at what he said. Look at what he said. Right? Right there. Threats of violence were implied when defendant Combs wished to assert control. Why would he threaten violence if people was doing what they wanted to do? Make it make sense. If we're all in here doing a freak off and doing whatever the hell we want to do, why would Diddy need a gun to assert control? That don't make no sense to me. If everybody's complying, why do you need a gun and need to threaten a pistol with somebody? Make it make sense. They're not telling y'all he put that in his lawsuit. He did. Read it right there.